Come
All right, this is Babs. Lulu's back here, so she might cry a little bit throughout the video, and I apologize for that, but I will hold her cries. She's gonna be a little jealous. So this is Babs, and I just did a video with her sister Lulu talking about basic commands, and both of these guys are doing basic commands with their family to stop this behavior. They are persistent jumpers. When they want anything or attention, they will jump. So we're going to teach them some basic obedience commands to try and replace that bad behavior. So as you can see, I've already lightly introduced them to these commands, and then I thought, hey, they're pretty good test subjects and they're still really fresh. No ma'am. Hey. No ma'am. Good girl. Can you do a sit? Do a sit. Good girl. Shh. No. Good girl. Babs, come. So I did basic commands with her sister Lulu already, and I thought that with Babs, I would try to kind of focus on some of those commands. So in my opinion, sit and down are pretty easy as far as figuring out how to teach your dog those. A lot of dogs will offer them naturally. And honestly, you can find a ton of commands or a ton of videos online about sit and down. So I wanted to focus on the come and heel commands because those tend to be a little bit more difficult. And I've also found that some of the standard practices that most trainers will teach or that you'll see on most videos aren't always practical and easy to do at home or with every dog. And so I've tried to find ways that are usable for every dog, and sometimes that's just not possible, and so I have multiple ways to tackle a command or a problem so that anybody has an option if the one that's kind of standard isn't working for you, because unfortunately that's the case. The standard option and the typical way we've had of training people and training dogs and the history of training dogs isn't always correct and doesn't always work nowadays. So with Babs, I'm going to focus on come and heel. Babs, come. So this is how you introduce come. It's very, very simple. All you're going to do is say their name and do something, anything, to lure them in towards you. So for some dogs, a treat's enough. Come, good girl, good job, and break it in half. Good job. For some dogs, maybe if you've been training for a while too, treat's not quite going to be enough. Maybe get the squeak toy out, or you can just use yourself as a squeak toy essentially and say, come here, good girl, and give her a reward when she does come to you. So we're going to keep it really, really simple right now, and I'm just going to change it up. So I'm going to call her name first and say, Babs, come, good girl, good. And maybe I won't say her name first, and I'll just say, Babs, come, good girl, good. Your dog does not have to be far away from you to introduce the come command. You can work in a really small area. I'm just in the living room right now. So you don't have to be in a big area. You actually want to start in a small area when it comes to come. Just like any other command and any other skill you want your dog to know, you want to start off really small. You want to start off super easy and super small. So it's very easy because there's no distractions in here. If your dog is a distraction to your other dog, then you want to work with your dogs separately. These guys obviously aren't really distracting each other, so it's okay for me to just separate them with the gate. Good job. Good job. And so I'm keeping it really small, really simple, and I'm simply rewarding her for doing the right physical body position. So she's following me. When she jumps, I withhold my treat. As soon as she sits, I give her the treat, and then I'm going to start again. Good, good, good. Good, Babs. Good. So you can see there, she didn't make contact with my leg because she knows that that behavior displeases me. Good girl. As you can also see, because you can't hear it, is I'm not saying much to her, and I'm not worrying about the command word right now. She doesn't know what come means right now. She doesn't know what most English words mean. So I can say anything to teach her come, but right now, I just want to paint a picture for her of what she's supposed to do with her body, of what I'm generally asking her. And since she's a very smart and responsive dog, as you can see, at the same time that I'm just capturing a good come, I'm already working on diminishing the jumping at the end. For less responsive dogs, you have to just do come, and then when they get good at that, you can start diminishing the jumping. She's very responsive. She's a little bit older as well, And it's not that her owners have done zero training with her, it's just she hasn't had quite enough for how smart she is. And so I know that I can push her a little bit further and I can work on those things at the same time. But with your dog, take it step by step if you need to. That's no problem. Come. Good. There we go. So that was a very diminished jump. She just kind of half jumped. Right? And that's good. That means the more and more we work on this, good girl. She's understanding the tactics that I'm using. Babs, come. And Babs. Good girl. I have to set her up for success a little bit, right? So I've noticed that if I hold my treat low, she's going to go for a jump. If I don't, she's way less likely to jump. So I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to keep my treat high. Come on. Good. So she sees that that treat's too high to go for, and she decides no need to jump. So I'm going to do that for now. I'm always going to hold that treat really high. Her sister's jealous and is bringing in loud toys. Babs, come. Good. Good girl. Good. Perfect. Let me go get that. Well, let's go get the distraction. Hey, excuse me. We're working on stuff over here. All right. Oh, sorry, buddy. So that's how you're going to start working on come. And then you'll do it in more places with more distractions and different settings, and that's how you'll perfect it. For heel, I prefer to start with what I call follow mode. The reason I prefer to start with this is just from experience. I've noticed that any other way me or any other trainer tries to teach heel is very challenging for most dogs. Yet, as trainers, we recommend it to be one of the first things that you teach your dogs. So I figured we need to come up with a much easier way to teach our dogs this. If not, owners are not compliant with it, which is understandable because if you're having trouble doing it at home, you're not going to do it. And I get that. And so I'm trying to create an easier way to teach heel, which is follow mode, which you can do at home just to start with, in the house, in the yard, anything like that. You're going to get a treat. You're going to hold it down by your side. For little dogs, you have to get pretty low. And then you're going to give them that treat when they're in a good heel position. So it doesn't take much. You set them up for success by holding the treat right in front of their face. You're also going to hold the treat right in line with your leg. So you're not going to hold it up here, and you're not going to, well, you can hold it back here a little bit, honestly. But for the most part, you can hold it right in line with your leg. And then you just start walking. So once your dog is interested in that treat, just start walking. And just know that for the littler ones, you'll have to get a little bit lower. So I take a couple of steps and then I give them a treat. If your dog's confused, you can give them a treat on the first steps until they figure it out. Good job. Great. Good girl. See, so now she's already offering the behavior. I only gave her, what, 2 or 3 treats? And she already is starting to understand what I'm asking her. So she got a little too excited, she got a little jumpy, and so I went back to simple. I'm going to put my hand right in front of her face and go back to the basics. Good girl. Good, perfect. So like I said, she's very, very smart. This is the first time we've taught her this, and she's already responding to it. Your dog might not do the same, and that's okay, especially puppies are going to have a harder time, focusing, and maybe dogs that have recently been rescued will have a harder time because maybe they haven't had much interaction, especially structured interaction like this. And so just keep it simple. All you're going to do is take off walking, hold that treat in the right spot. Once your dog falls in line, give him the reward and start it over again. Good girl. Good job, good job, good job. So let me do a little bit more heel work with her. So the other way you can teach heel, this is kind of the more command form of heel, which is get them right in front of you, show them that treat, good job, and use the treat to lure them into the position. For little dogs, it's a lot easier because they have much less body to move around. For big dogs, it can be much, much harder. So you're going to make a big circle around your body, and when you get to the back, you're going to hook them back in. The bigger the dog, the bigger loop you're going to have to make as well, so just keep that in mind. Good girl. So I'm not going to reward her there because A, I don't have one in my hand. but she kind of went for my hand looking for that reward. She thought she was gonna get it from me while I wasn't paying attention. So I'm gonna ask her for a sit, and I'll give her some praise now that she held it for a while. But I didn't want to reward her right away. Dogs can sometimes find a weak spot and they'll say, oh, well, hey, if I jump, she'll ask me to sit, and then I get the reward that I jumped for. So just keep that in mind. Always barter with your dog. Make sure you have high expectations of your dog. Ready? Can you do sit? Do sit? You're not gonna do sit? Good girl, thank you. Don't make me look bad. Alrighty guys, so that was Lulu and Babs. Lulu taught us all of our basic commands, how to introduce them really quick. And with Babs, I went ahead and went over a little bit more in detail, come and heel. I hope that these videos help you guys at home. This is literally the introduction to commands and obedience. This is what I start off most of my clients with, especially if they've had no training or they don't have any of these commands established. The homes that I go to that already have these things established, we can jump right into everything else. But before jumping into intense training, I will always ask that you get some basic obedience done with your dog. This is great relationship building, this is great confidence building, and if your dog has any problem behaviors, obedience training can shake a lot of the problems that most dogs have. Just with obedience training, you can get rid of them. So I will always start with obedience training, see where that gets you guys, and then the next time we'll hit the ground running with whatever else we need to fill in the blanks. But with most dogs, just starting to build a good relationship, a good reward system, get them a little bit confident, get them a little smarter so that when you say, hey, don't do this, they can offer you a good behavior in return to kind of trade off. So keep that in mind. If you guys have any questions, give me a call or text, rufftrackstraining.com. We also have our YouTube page, Ruff Track, so please subscribe to this or follow us on Facebook, and that's where we'll put all of our videos out through. I hope you guys have a great one. Let me know if you have any questions. Say bye, Babs. Let's go say bye.
Say bye.